It's now noon. It wasn't like this today, and we have a, very slightly cloudy blue sky, slightly cloudy, partially cloudy, very, very little cloud forecast for the day. Yet there we go. They are definitely setting up for something big. Is this for the snowstorm that they're saying is coming? What do you guys think? Totally natural. Nothing to see here. Why would you care about a bunch of lines in the sky? Funny, we were talking about it earlier today. How you go to air shows and stuff to see lines in the sky, to see them. Look at those puffballs. Those don't look like little... Not be ridiculous here. Let's not be ridiculous. Come on. These are totally normal, totally natural lines. Just because some of the planes are leaving lines, most of them going west to east, doesn't mean anything, especially since the metro airport here, Detroit Metro Airport, is directly due south of here, about 10 miles. All of those lines going west to east, nothing to see here. Don't worry, people. Nothing to see. Do you understand? It's nothing to see. If you ask questions about these lines, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. That's when you're asking, hey, what are these lines? Well, these don't look real, these don't look natural. And my whole life, up until, the late 90s, early 2000s, I never saw these things. And if my car was making big, long streaks of smoke behind it or whatever, I would take it to the shop. So what are all these lines? You shut up, you're a conspiracy theorist. And that's basically how it ends. Look at that. Just normal, natural. All to the good. Go back to this side. Oh wait, where did all those puffballs go? Where did those puffballs sort of dissipate to? That's them right there. You can see sort of the remnants of it. Clearly they were just dropped and they dispersed. And they became that big cloud section that you can see right there. Look at that. That's nothing to see, you guys. That is just normal, natural. And those puffballs that were huge and just bright, shiny puffballs, they just dissipated. Why wouldn't they just dissipate, you guys? That's just what happens. It's nothing to see here, you guys. I am a crazy conspiracy theorist because I think there is something wrong with that. But that just makes me crazy, you guys. Oh, look at you. Look at the guy. If there's a better way of saying I'm a white guy with a tiny penis without actually saying it than naming yourself Nate Higgers. Thank you. Thank you, by the way, for acknowledging you're a little dick white guy. We appreciate it. That's awesome. Look at that. Beautiful. It's just evaporation according to that little dick white guy. Isn't that interesting? Little dick white guy. He thinks it's just evaporation. Look at the giant X's in the sky. None of these go north to south. Not a single fucking one. But that's nothing to see. Oh, look at that. That cloud just sort of moving in front. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Little dick white guy. You know that he hates queers. Look at all these lines. Look at all these pretty lines. Just totally normal, natural. And again, you'd have to ask yourself, anybody that's going to get mad or talk shit about me asking questions about this shit that clearly affects all of us makes you wonder who they really are, because you'd think a normal, natural person would be kind of wondering, what the fuck is that? Why are they making these big lines in the sky? going to be outside this whole time. We're almost home. So I'm going to do a continuation of my earlier video where we talked about heart. And we'll just do the second part, which is the chemtrail part. Yep, I'm on my way to the gynecologist appointment. That's what it must be, says the white guy with the tiny penis. Gotcha, white guy with the tiny penis. We get it. You're mad. Oh, we're mad. Ooh. See? Look at that. Oh, look, that's a bright one. That just got here. Fucking A. We needed another one. And another one. And another one. Are you not white? Well, even if I was, why would that matter? See, that's how you know how stupid people are. So if I was a white guy, I shouldn't talk about racist white guys with tiny dicks, huh? Why would that make sense? Why are you so stupid?
You need your hands.
Good luck.
These last 4 or 5 that we can't go out.
Look at this shit. Holy fuck. Look at how normal, natural all that is. It's not like it happens every day. But that's just, whoa, totally normal, natural. Man, can you imagine if I biffed there? That would have been funny, huh? If he can't get him, I can't get him.
Especially without no gloves.
No,
Oh,
that broke.
Break them.
I was just pulling on it and it broke. I don't know what you were...
You pulled sideways.
No, I didn't. I just pulled up and it broke. Yeah, not coming. Yeah, no more. Oh, look, there's an airplane not leaving anything, going around, and it's going to make its approach down to Detroit Metro Airport. See? For some reason, they don't leave big, long trails when they go to and from the airport. Yes, it's beautiful. Look how beautiful it is, says stupid dumbass. It's beautiful. All those pretty lines in the sky. So beautiful.
Yeah, the big light has a metal stake, so that bitch will come out.
Well, I was just thinking to the globe like that.
Told you he wouldn't eat all his food.
He stopped to do the
So, you know what I need? Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I call you.
Yeah, I need this.
Yeah. Nope.
Can I finish?
Finish what you're doing and bring it.
Why? You're going
I need
to
it.
video?
Yep.
Okay, after you're done with the video, please tell me.
Absolutely. So I just want to look something up real quick. We're not going to do a long video today. Well, this time. It's beautiful. All the pretty lines in the sky. Like how is it that this shit exists and people like they don't think about it? You go to an air show to see planes leave lines in the sky. Huh?
Those are so, I've been to air shows.
They're so dumb.
They're very weird.
They're so dumb. Look at the plane. Oh, it's a plane. It's making streaks in the sky. Come on, pickle butt. And again, you have to ask yourself, like, why would me talking about this make anyone angry? Other than the Jays who control the narrative and, you know, I guess stupid people. But why would anyone be like, dude, don't talk about that? Like, it's such a strange thing. Do you have stocks in like spray shit from planes.com and you don't want people to think it's a bad thing or something? I don't get it. Other than the system using fake bots to try to make people stop asking intelligent questions, where does it, like, how does it all fit together? Yeah. Here I come.
I'm just throwing up.
No, you won't.
1,
No.
2, 3.
Jesus. All right. So I wanted to look this up the other day and I forgot to. But let's see, because when you look up HARP, the interesting thing about looking up HARP is under the conspiracy theories part of the page is everything that it's like it tells you all the things it's capable of and then doesn't deny it as being some crazy conspiracy theory. But I guess you're just supposed to assume it is. So let's see what they do with chemtrails. I'm pretty sure it's probably the same thing. Chemtrails. Let's see. Wikipedia. Chemtrail conspiracy theory. The term chemtrail is actually from the Air Force actually invented the term. The chemtrail conspiracy theory is the erroneous. You gotta love how they started off like that. The erroneous belief that long-lasting condensation trails left in the sky by high-flying aircraft are actually chemicals consisting of, or chemtrails consisting of chemicals or biological agents. Now, the funny thing is, at the same time as they sort of call it erroneous, they have those programs where they're releasing chaff into the sky, where they're releasing particulates into the sky to reflect the sun's rays because to combat global warming. They release other metal particulates into the sky to help with communications. Like, they admit to doing this shit. Sprayed for nefarious purposes undisclosed to the public. Believers in this conspiracy theory say that while normal contrails dissipate relatively quickly, contrails that linger must contain additional substances. Those who subscribe to the theory speculate that the purpose of the chemical release may be a solar radiation management. Okay, so let's see. Solar radiation management. Solar radiation modification, or solar radiation management, or solo engineering, is a group of large-scale approaches to limit global warming by increasing the amount of sunlight, solar radiation, that is reflected away from the Earth and back into space. Among the potential approaches, stratospheric aerosol injection is the most studied. So, they're literally saying it's erroneous and that you're crazy. It's a crazy conspiracy theory to suggest that they use this technique for radiate solar, blah, blah, blah. And then you click on it and it's literally stratospheric aerosol injection. You guys can go ahead and play. Is a proposed method of solar engineering or solar radiation modification to reduce global warming. This would introduce aerosols into the stratosphere to create a cooling effect via global dimming and increase albedo, which occurs naturally from volcanic winter. Albedo is the fraction of sunlight that is diffusely reflected by a body. It is measured on a scale from 0, corresponding to a black body that absorbs all incident radiation, to 1, corresponding with a body that reflects all incident radiation. So it's on a scale from 0 to 1. On a scale from 0 to 1, they said. It's on a scale from 0 to 1. Surface albedo is defined as the ratio of radiosity, J to the small e, radiosity to the irradiance, sorry, E to the E, flux per unit area received by a surface. God, this shit's stupid. This is just when it starts getting stupid. And they start using these terms and these ideas that it's like, why don't you just say it easier? It's easier than that. It appears that stratospheric aerosol injection at a moderate intensity could counter most changes to temperature and precipitation, take effect rapidly, and have low direct implementation cost, and be reversible in its direct climate effects. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, we definitely vote those people in, concludes that it is, quote, the most researched solar geoengineering method that could limit warming to below 1.5 degrees Celsius, 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you know how stupid it is that they trick you into that? It's 2.7 degrees lower or higher than what? Than it was every day, every year on this day for however long we've been. So that means that's 2.7 degrees warmer. On average, it's 2.7 degrees warmer. Do you understand that in the 60s and 70s, they told us that by now, like the California coast and Florida coast and all, everything would be underwater by now. Thanks to global warming. They've been trying to scare you with that shit forever. However, like other solar geoengineering approaches, stratospheric aerosol injection would do so imperfectly, and other effects are possible, particularly if used in a suboptimal manner. Wait, are they trying to say that spraying a bunch of chemicals into the air might have negative effects on things?
That's stupid talk.
Don't they know one size fits all? I mean, come on. You know, we can all have the same dose of everything. Why can't the Earth just have one big fucking dose of whatever? We gotta dim it. It's too much sunlight getting through. Global temperatures have skyrocketed by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Do you know how stupid that is? Various forms of sulfur have been shown to cool the planet after large volcanic eruptions. However, as of 2021, there has been little research and existing natural aerosols in the stratosphere are not well understood. So there is no leading candidate material. Alumina, calcite, and salt are also under consideration. The leading proposed method of delivery is custom aircraft. Do you guys get this? Do you guys get this shit? Let's go to history. Oh, so check this out. There's all these things I can click on. So I'm going to look at history. History is this. Mikhail Budyaiko is believed to have been the first in 1974 to put forth the concept of artificial solar radiation management with stratospheric sulfur aerosols if global warming ever became a pressing issue. Huh. Good thing, huh? Such controversial climate engineering proposals for global dimming have sometimes been called the Budyoko blanket. Never heard that. problematic aspects. Oh, well, that's kind of long. It is uncertain how effective any solar geoengineering technique would be due to the difficulties modeling their impacts and the complex nature of the global climate system. Are you serious? Certain efficiency issues are specific to stratospheric aerosols. Number one, the lifespan of aerosols. Tropospheric sulfur aerosols are short-lived. So, what we're really talking about here is just one layer of the atmosphere that they say they're spraying. There's clearly going to be several layers of the atmosphere that they say exist. And apparently they spray them in all of them. Delivery of particles into the lower stratosphere in the Arctic will typically ensure that they may remain aloft only for a few weeks or months. Holy fuck. So that means they fall down after a few weeks or months. To ensure endurance, higher altitude delivery is needed, ensuring a typical endurance of several years by enabling injection into the rising leg of the Brewer-Dobson circulation above the topical tropopause. Further, sizing of particles is crucial to their endurance. Number 2, aerosol delivery. There are 2 proposals for how to create a stratospheric sulfate aerosol cloud. Are we honestly stupid enough to believe that the first time it was proposed was in 74? And even if that was true, that in the, 50 years since then? Wait, how old would you be if you were born in 74? 50. 50 years since then? They haven't figured this shit out yet? Really interesting, huh? Either through the release of a precursor gas, SO2, I don't know what SO2 is, or the direct release of sulfuric acid, H2SO4, and these face different challenges. Yeah, I would imagine releasing sulfuric acid into our fucking atmosphere might have some challenges. If SO2 gas is released, it will oxidize to form H2SO2 and then condense to form droplets far from the injection site. And then it will condense to form droplets, meaning it will rain down on the people. Releasing SO2 would not allow control over the size of the particles that are formed, but would not require a sophisticated release mechanism. Oh, you can just dump that shit. Simultaneous, simulation suggests that as the SO2 release rate is increased, there would be diminishing returns on the cooling effect, as larger particles would be formed, which have a shorter lifetime and are less effective scatterers of light. Funny, when you look at old pictures from the 1900s and 1800s and shit, you never see people in shorts. You never see people in short sleeves. You never see people that even look like they're hot. Even when they're swimming in, head to toe gear. The women walk around with lace umbrellas and shit. They always have hats on. Both men and women always have hats on. It's almost like they were scared of something. Like they were scared of the sun. It seems like they're trying to make us feel the same way. The source of life for all life on this planet, the sun, is somehow bad for us. Yeah, I should definitely go to bed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That makes sense. Fucking A. If H2SO4 is released directly, then the aerosol particles would form very quickly and in principle, the particle size could be controlled, although the engineering requirements for this are uncertain. Assuming a technology for direct H2SO4 release could be conceived and developed, it would allow control over the particle size to possibly alleviate some of the inefficiencies associated with SO2 release. I mean, again, do you honestly think they haven't figured out a way to deliver this yet? To spray something out of the back of a plane? Number 3, strength of cooling. Yes, I'm CIA. I'm a CIA guy, for sure. The magnitude of the effect of forcing from aerosols by decreasing insulation received at the surface is not completely certain, as its scientific modeling involves complex calculations due to different confounding factors and parameters such as optical properties, spatial and temporal distribution of emissions or injections, albedo, geography, loading, rate of transport of sulfate, global burden, atmospheric chemistry, mixing and reactions with other compounds and aerosols. What other aerosols and compounds? Particle size, relative humidity, and clouds. So basically, every fucking aspect makes it so that it's going to be difficult. It's a good thing they don't do it then, huh? It's a good thing there's literally no evidence, and it's a good thing this is just a completely erroneous, an erroneous conspiracy theory to think that we could ever even begin to drop shit out of planes. Along with others, aerosol size distribution and hygroscopicity have particularly high uncertainty due to being closely related to sulfate aerosol interactions with other aerosols, which affects the amount of radiation reflected. What other aerosols are they talking about? Why wouldn't you want both there, Keith? You seem like a guy who probably likes to take back shots. I would always assume the more nerve endings that get touched, the better it's going to be. Yeah. Were you going to get my sandwich?
What?
Were you going to get my sandwich? Thank you.
No, I was trying to go get Nathan's container out of the car that you left in there.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. The moon is real. We've been there. Sure we have. Do you know how stupid you are? We went to the moon 6 times between 69 and 72. And it's not been commercialized. And we haven't gone back since. Remember when Trump was talking about by the end of his presidency, we'd be going back? You guys remember that shit? What other aerosols are they talking about? They keep mentioning these other aerosols. As of 2021, state-of-the-art CMIP6 models estimate that total cooling from the currently present aerosols is between 0.1 and 0.7 degrees Celsius. What current aerosols are they fucking talking about? The IPCC sixth assessment report uses the best estimate of 0.5 degrees Celsius or 0.90 degrees Fahrenheit. But there's still a lot of contradictory research on the impacts of aerosols of clouds, which can alter this estimate of aerosol cooling, and consequently, our knowledge of how many millions of tons must be deployed annually to achieve the desired effect. Jesus Christ. Oh, yep, schizo. Here we go. I must be schizo again. You know how schizos are always reading you stuff to try to educate you. I'm too stupid to ask the questions you're asking, and I can't answer them, so you must be schizo. The hydrological cycle. That's number 4. Since historical global dimming from tropospheric sulfate pollution is already well known to have reduced rainfall in certain areas and is likely to have weakened monsoon of South Asia and contributed to or even outright caused the 1984 Ethiopian famine, the impact on the hydrological cycle and patterns is one of the most discussed uncertainties of the different stratospheric aerosol injection proposals. It has been suggested that while changes in precipitation from stratospheric aerosol injection are likely to be more manageable than changes expected under future warming, one of the main impacts it would have on morality is by shifting the habitat of mosquitoes and thus subsequently affecting the distribution and spread of vector-borne diseases. Oh, good. Because I can't imagine mosquitoes aren't food for anything else, right? Considering the already extensive present-day mosquito habitat, it is currently unclear whether those changes are likely to be positive or negative. So fucking A, let's do it. Crazy. Remember, this is all just a conspiracy theory. This is all just an erroneous conspiracy theory. Unintended possible side effects. Solar geoengineering in general poses various problems and risks. However, certain problems are specific to or more pronounced with stratospheric sulfate injection. Ozone depletion. A potential side effect of sulfur aerosols, and these concerns have been supported by modeling. However, this may only occur if high enough quantities of aerosols drift to or are deposited in polar stratospheric clouds before the levels of CFCs and other ozone-destroying gases fall naturally to safe levels, because stratospheric aerosols, together with the ozone-destroying gases, are responsible for ozone depletion. The injection of other aerosols that may be safer, such as calcite, has therefore been proposed. The injection of non-sulfide aerosols like calcite, limestone, oh my God, would also have a cooling effect while counteracting ozone depletion and would be expected to reduce other side effects. Let's inject a bunch of fucking powdered limestone into the fucking aerosol, into the air. I bet that's good for breathing. Whitening of the sky. Volcanic eruptions are known to affect the appearances of sunsets significantly, and a change in the sky appearance after the eruption of Mount Tambor in 1816, the year without a summer, was the inspiration for the paintings of J.M.W. Turner. Oh yeah, this matters. Since stratospheric aerosol injection would involve smaller quantities of aerosols, it is expected to cause a subtler change to sunsets and a slight haze of the blue skies. How stratospheric aerosol injection may affect clouds remains uncertain. So wait, are they talking about how the sky is never that crisp blue color it used to be when we were kids and always seems to have a layer of haze? Huh. I must just be schizophrenic. That's what it is. These words aren't even on these pages. I'm so crazy, I'm seeing the words that aren't really there. How amazing is that? Wow. Not only am I doing it, I'm doing it scientifically too. My
You so smoking fart.
right, my crazy is all like aerosols and cyan and sulfur iodides and yeah, I'm just making all that shit up. Think about how crazy that is. That explains why there is that weird haze all the time. And a whitening of the sky. Is that why the sun looks white now? I mean, I remember being a kid and playing the game to see who could look at the sun the longest. Yeah, it was a stupid game, but we did it. And you know, you'd get to like 8, 10 seconds and it'd be like, holy shit, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you go outside and you look at the sun within a second, it hurts. There's no more looking at the sun.
This horse is true. Every time it jumps over the thing, it's farting the entire competition. Oh my god, that's just
Your son, the other day, sneezed and plugged his nose when he sneezed, and he farted because of it, and it hurt. Do you know that guy, Cooper Barnes, who is the Captain Awesome or Harvey Danger, whatever it is, the guy that plays the superhero, his name's Cooper Barnes. I went to school with him. His name's Nick Barnes, actually. And the only conversation I ever remember having with that little greaseball weirdo was him telling me or talking about how if the way to spontaneously combust is to fart, sneeze, burp. Like, he named off all these things that if you did them all at the same time, you'd spontaneously combust. That's literally the only thing I remember that dude ever talking about. Let's see. Looks like a bunch of fucking stupid shit. Hey, look. That Nate guy, the little dick white guy, still here. Weird. His name is Nate Higgers, huh? Yeah, he has a tiny penis. How stratospheric aerosol injection may affect cloud remain. Okay. Number 3, stratospheric temperature change. Aerosols can absorb some radiation from the sun, the earth, and the surrounding atmosphere. This changes the surrounding air temperature and could potentially impact the stratospheric circulation, which in turn may impact the surface circulation. Sounds like it's not a very good idea. Deposition and acid rain. The surface deposition of sulfate, or it's deposition. It's like depositing of sulfate injected into the stratosphere may also have an impact on ecosystems. However, the amount and wide dispersal of injected aerosols means that their impact on particulate concentrations and acidity of precipitation would be very small. Right. I mean, that's like saying again that the butane, they get 99% of the butane out of the wax. Well, there's going to be a buildup. But you have to look at this. Like, again, so these people that supposedly don't hate me and you know, they support genocide, they support pedophilia. Now they're mad about the chemtrail conversation too. They're mad about the HARP conversation. They're mad about the chemtrail conversation. They're mad about the J controlling Hollywood conversation. Gee, that's so strange. Isn't that strange? Ecological consequences. The consequences of stratospheric aerosol injection on ecological systems are unknown and potentially vary by ecosystem, with differing impacts on marine versus terrestrial biomes. Like, yeah, no shit. Why would anyone ever think it wouldn't? mix effects on agriculture. A historical study in 2018 found that stratospheric sulfate aerosols injected by the volcanic eruptions of Chicone 1982 and Mount Pinatubo in 1991 had mixed effects on global crop yields of certain major crops. Sure. Based on several studies, the IPCC Sixth Assessment Report suggests that crop yields and carbon sinks would be largely unaffected or may even increase slightly because reduced photosynthesis due to lower sunlight would be offset by CO2 fertilization by CO2 fertilization effect, not the CO2. Like there's a lot of these weird typos in this. And the reduction in thermal stress. But there's less confidence about how the specific ecosystems may be affected. Inhibition of solar energy technologies. Oh, well, here, this one's kind of weird. Uniformly reduced net shortwave radiation would hurt solar photovoltaics by the same 2 to 5% as for plants. The increased scattering of collimated incoming sunlight would more drastically reduce the efficiencies by 11% for RCP 8.5 of concentrating solar thermal power for both electricity production and chemical reactions such as solar cement production. Solar cement production, not, solar panels. Don't mention the solar panels that would be drastically affected by this shit. Yes, stay off of meth because meth makes you read stuff so you can learn. Do you realize how stupid and desperate you sound when you say shit like that? Instead of debunking the official narrative that we're reading here, you go ahead and keep making stupid comments. I'm telling you guys, every time somebody says something stupid that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about or whatever, they want to talk about me instead of the big picture, that's them admitting I'm right. If they could tell me I was wrong, they would. That's why they're here talking shit. But the fact that they can't tell me I'm wrong about anything or what I'm wrong about, and they instead make all these stupid comments, that's your smoking gun. That's how you know everything I'm saying is right. Governance aspects. Most of the existing governance of stratospheric sulfate aerosols is from that which is applicable to solar radiation management more broadly. However, some existing legal instruments would be relevant to stratospheric sulfate aerosols specifically. At the international level, the Convention on Long-Range Transboundary Air Pollution, claptrap, the CLRTAP Convention. Have you guys heard of any of these conventions? Have you heard about stratospheric aerosol injections at all? Have you heard about anything like that?
No.
Haven't you heard that any suggestion that something comes out of a plane is a crazy conspiracy theory? Notably, both solar radiation management and climate change, as well as greenhouse gases, could satisfy the definition of air pollution, which the signatories commit to reduce, depending on their actual negative effects. Commitments to specific values of pollutants, including sulfates, are made through protocols to the CLRTAP convention. I mean, are you guys even learning anything about this? Or are you just hearing a bunch of blah, blah, blah details? This is what they do all the time. They give you all these details, dates, and all this stupid shit. So you leave leave this narrative thinking, oh, I got a pretty detailed explanation. I might not have understood it, but there was a lot of details. So if there's a lot of details, it must be true. But you don't realize that the details are mundane, like nothing details. They don't matter. There's no how they, what they're doing, what these actual aerosols are, what the other aerosols are, how they're actually doing it. How are they injecting? What programs are they injecting through? Full implementation or large-scale climate response field tests of stratospheric sulfate aerosols could cause countries to exceed their limits. The limits, right? Because we set limits on each country allowed to produce this much pollution. However, because stratospheric injections would be spread across the globe instead of concentrated in a few nearby countries, it could lead to net reductions in the air pollution, which the CLR-TAP convention is to reduce, so they may be allowed. What? Spraying shit into the atmosphere may reduce the pollutions into the atmosphere. The stratospheric injection of sulfate aerosols would cause the Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer to be applicable due to their possible deleterious effects on stratospheric ozone due to getting rid of the ozone. That treaty generally obligates its parties to enact policies to control activities which have or are likely to have adverse effects resulting from modification or likely modification of the ozone layer. The Montreal Protocol, another one of those things you heard about, right?
Yeah. No.
The Montreal Protocol to the Vienna Convention prohibits the production of certain ozone-depleting substances via phase-outs. Sulfates are presently not among the prohibited substances. In the United States, the Clean Air Act, hey, I did hear about that, might give the United States Environmental Protection Agency authority to regulate stratospheric sulfate aerosols around the world. Man, that's amazing. What about Chinese space lasers? Yeah, maybe. In 2009, a Russian team, damn Russians, tested aerosol formation in the lower troposphere using helicopters. In 2015, David Keith and Gernot Wagner described a potential, you've heard of David Keith, right? Described a potential field experiment of stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment, the stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment, SCOPEX, the SCOPEX, using stratospheric calcium carbonate injection. But as of October 2020, the time and place had not yet been determined. Right. 5 years later, they still haven't figured it out, huh? Scopex is in part funded by Bill Gates. Sir David King, the former chief scientific advisor to the government of the United Kingdom, he's Sir David King. Anytime somebody is considered a sir, like Paul McCartney or whatever, like Sir, what's the Virgin guy? Can't I think of his name?
Oh, God. Why can't I think of it either?
Branson, Richard Branson.
Yes.
Sir Richard Branson. You have to ask yourself, what dragons did these knights slay for the king or the queen to be considered knighted? You don't just get to be a knight because you're cute. You have to be in service to the queen. Interesting, huh? Sir David King, a former chief scientific advisor of the government, a former chief scientific advisor to the government of the United Kingdom, stated that Scopac and Gates' plan to dim the sun with calcium carbonate could have disastrous effects. Sir David King. David Anthony King. Sir David King. What do you think? What do you think, David King? Let's check it out. Is a South African-born British chemist, academic, and head of the Climate Crisis Group. Let's just see what his early life and education. King was born on August 12, 1939 in South Africa, son of Arnold Tom Wallace King of Johannesburg, director of a paint company, and Patricia Mary Bendy Her Beatty Vardy. Her name is I don't know. His elder brother, Michael Wallace King, born 1937, was director of First Rand Bank and vice chair of the multinational mining company Anglo-American PLC. King was educated at St. John's College, an all-boys private school in Johannesburg. He studied at the University of Witwatersrand, graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree and then a Doctor of Philosophy degree in 1963. They sure did yada yada. There sure wasn't a lot of information on his early life, huh? By his first marriage, which ended in divorce, King has two sons. 1983, he married secondly charity administrator and former head of a commercial law team, Jane Margaret, daughter of general practitioner Hans Eugen Lichtenstein, OBE, and of a Holocaust survivor from a family that owned leather goods shops and an umbrella factory in Berlin. They have a son and a daughter. I mean, he's clearly a J, so it's weird that they're not saying it. Almost like they don't want us to know. In 2012, the Bristol University-led Stratospheric Particle Injection for Climate Engineering, SPICE, project planned on a limited field test to evaluate a potential delivery system. The group received support from the EPSRC, NERC, and STFC to the tune of £2.1 million, and was one of the first UK projects aimed at providing evidence-based knowledge about solar radiation management. I mean, so this is me looking up. That was actually I was told that by the chemtrail page that chemtrails are an erroneous conspiracy theory. And then they mentioned solar radiation modification. So I looked into that. And says among the potential approaches, stratospheric aerosol injection, that was the thing they said, is the most studied. Followed by marine cloud brightening. What's marine cloud brightening? Marine cloud brightening, also known as marine cloud seeding and marine cloud engineering, is another proposed one, solar radiation management technique that would make clouds brighter. Almost like those clouds that we saw earlier in this video, huh? Those little puff balls. Remember those little puff balls? Oh, you're leaving. Oh, man. Which side am I on? I'm on the let's get rid of all the J's side. Pretty simple. Make clouds brighter, reflecting a small fraction of incoming sunlight back into space in order to offset global warming. I mean, I can't put into words how stupid that all is. The whole concept of global warming, because it's 2.7 degrees warmer where they took the temperature. Like, the Earth supposedly goes through ebbs and flows in temperature, doesn't it? Isn't it warmer sometimes and colder sometimes? Nah, it's always the same. Like a good program. Along with stratospheric aerosol injection, it is one of two solar radiation management methods that may most feasibly have a substantial climate impact. The intention is that increasing the Earth's blah, 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 blah. Basic principles. Marine cloud brightening is based on phenomena that are currently observed in the climate system. Today, emissions emissions particles mix with clouds in the atmosphere and increase the amount of sunlight they reflect, reducing global warming. This cooling effect is estimated at between 0.5 and 1.5 degrees Celsius. You would never feel it, and is one of the most important unknowns in climate. Marine cloud brightening proposes to generate a similar effect using benign materials, e.g., sea salt, delivered to clouds that are most susceptible to these effects. Marine stratocumulus. Most clouds are quite reflective, redirecting incoming solar radiation back into space. Isn't that weird? Didn't you always think that like radiation, like penetrated shit?
Yes.
Apparently clouds, nah, not clouds. Not clouds. Clouds are like fucking walls. Clouds consist of water droplets, and clouds with smaller droplets are more reflective because of the Twomey effect. Cloud condensation nuclei are necessary for water droplet formulation. I'm telling you, the reason why you think it rains is stupid. Another one of those things that, yep, I don't believe like you do. The central idea underlying marine cloud brightening is to add aerosols to atmospheric locations where clouds form. These would then act as cloud condensation nuclei, increasing the cloud albedo. Marine cloud brightening on a small scale already occurs unintentionally due to the aerosols in ships' exhausts leaving ship tracks. So it's just the ships, huh? That's it? The ships make it dip? Ships and dip. Gotcha. Woo! Changes to shipping regulations enacted by the United Nations International Maritime Organization to reduce aerosols are hypothesized to be leading to reduced cloud cover and increased oceanic warming, providing additional support to the potential effectiveness of marine cloud brightening at modifying ocean temperature. Yeah, it's probably not all the cars we drive. It's probably the ships, the random ships. Oh, we've got a solar radiation expert. Solar radiation is different than nuclear radiation. Oh, okay. Even though the sun is one great big nuclear fucking fusion furnace, right? Different. Different cloud regimes are likely to have different susceptibility to brightening strategies, with marine stratocumulus, low, layered clouds over ocean regions, most sensitive to aerosol changes. These marine stratocumulus clouds are thus typically proposed as a suited target. They are commonly over the cooler regions of subtropical and mid-latitude oceans, where their coverage can exceed 50% in the annual mean. Yeah? Yeah, that all makes sense, huh? The leading possible source of additional cloud condensation nuclei is salt from seawater, although there are others. Oh, Jesus. Even though the importance of aerosols for the formation of clouds is, in general, well understood. I thought it was... What? Now it's well understood? Many uncertainties still remain. It's well understood, but there are many uncertainties.
That makes sense.
That makes all the sense. Here, let me give you the job. Do you think you can handle the job? Well, let me tell you. I understand what you're saying very well, but there are still many uncertainties. You're fired. In fact, the latest IPCC report considers aerosol cloud injections as one of the current major challenges in climate modeling in general. In particular, the number of droplets does not increase proportionality when more aerosols are present and can even decrease. Extrapolating the effects of particles on clouds observed in the microphysical scale to the regional climatically relevant scale is not straightforward. Neither is any of this shit. So let's go back to this funny term here. Cloud seeding is a type of weather modification that aims to change the amount or type of precipitation, mitigate hail, or disperse fog. The usual objective is to increase rain or snow, either for its own sake or to prevent precipitation from occurring in days afterward. Here's the picture that they show you, because, spraying shit from clouds or from planes into clouds isn't a realistic idea. It's an erroneous conspiracy theory. Trump was Epstein's buddy. That's very true. He's the reason why the Epstein thing went away. This image explaining cloud seeding shows a substance, either silver iodide or dry ice, being dumped onto the cloud, which then becomes a rain shower. The process shown in the upper right is what is happening in the cloud and the process of condensation upon the introduced material. Oh yeah, that makes sense. So the plane drops the schmutz into the cloud and then it rains afterward. That sounds like a crazy, erroneous conspiracy theory. Yeah, I've been trying to tell you guys to watch out for JFK Jr. the whole time. It was why I couldn't maintain my support for the people who made Vaxxed. Because Vaxxed is... Like, what does Robert Kennedy do? Robert Kennedy gets you distracted by terminology. So while you're arguing, oh, sorry about that. We have all the meth, as always. Always. That's why I'm reading you science stuff. Because meth, that's what meth does. Drones, chemtrails, 5G, and the Great Reset. I wouldn't call it great. Let's see. Cloud seeding is undertaken by dispersing substances into the air that serve as cloud condensation or ice nuclei. Common agents include silver iodide, potassium iodide, and dry ice, with hygroscopic materials like table salt gaining popularity due to their ability to attract moisture. Techniques vary from static seeding, which encourages ice particle formulation in supercooled clouds to increase precipitation, to dynamic seeding, designed to enhance convective cloud development through the release of latent heat. Yeah, I just don't care. Let's go with the history. Oh, here's all the chemtrail planes. Yeah, we did this before. So this is interesting because you have the beach. You have all these planes that are these old planes, right? You get the Lockheed from 1958, the Trojan from the Trojan Rainmaker from 1960, the Curtiss P-40 Rainmaker from 64, the Curtiss P-40N Weather Modification Company Cloud Seeder from 64, I assume. The Harvard Hail Defense, 1964, Canada.
the Cessna 220, and then we just jumped from 64 to 2006. And then the Cessna Skymaster 2015 from Israel. Go figure. So this is really fucking funny. You got to think about this. This is funny. In 1891, boom. 1891. 1891. Louis Gathman, gee, I wonder what he is, suggested shooting liquid carbon dioxide into rain clouds to cause them to rain. In 1891, where were they getting liquid carbon dioxide from? Liquid carbon dioxide isn't actually a thing. As soon as liquid carbon dioxide is exposed to the air, it becomes gas. It's something that has to be like under a certain conditions to actually exist. And then we just yada yada. During the 30s, the Bergeron-Finlayson process theorized that supercooled water droplets present while ice crystals are released into rain clouds would cause rain. While researching aircraft icing, General Electric's GE Vincent Schaefer and Irving Langmuir confirmed the theory. Schaefer discovered the principle of cloud seeding in July 1946. Hang on. Schaefer discovered the principle of cloud seeding in July of 1946 through a series of serendipitous events. Of course, it just worked out that way. Following ideas he and Langmuir generated while climbing Mount Washington in New Hampshire, Schaefer, Langmuir's research associate, created a way of experimenting with supercooled clouds using a deep freeze unit of potential agents to stimulate ice crystal growth, i.e. table salt, talcum powder, soils, dust, and various chemical agents with minor effect. Then on July 14, 1946, he wanted to try a few experiments at GE's Schenectady Research Lab. He was dismayed to find that the deep freezer was not cold enough to produce a cloud using breath air. He decided to move the process along by adding a chunk of dry ice just to lower the temperature of his experimental chamber. To his astonishment, as soon as he breathed into the deep freezer, he noticed a bluish haze, followed by an eye-popping display of millions of microscopic ice crystals, reflecting the strong light rays from the lamp illuminating a cross-section of the chamber. You know, a fucking experimental chamber that he had in 1946. Yeah. He instantly realized that he had discovered a way to change supercooled water into ice crystals. The experiment was easily replicated, and he explored the temperature gradient to establish the -40 Celsius, -40 Fahrenheit limit for liquid water. Why does Fahrenheit and Celsius only come together at -40 degrees? It don't make no sense. Within the month, Schaefer's colleague, the atmospheric scientist Bernard Vonnegut, was credited with discovering another method for seeding supercooled cloud water. Vonnegut accomplished his discovery at the desk, looking up information in a basic chemistry text, and then tinkering with silver and iodide chemicals to produce cyanide. Of course. Because, he had his desktop book of science stuff that he just happened to have and was, and I was tinkering with this. Yeah. Silver. Yeah, why not, guys? Together with Professor Henry Chesson of SUNY Albany, a crystallographer, he co-authored a publication in Science and received a patent in 1975. Both methods were adopted for use in cloud seeding during 1946 while working for GE in the state of New York. 46. So the first methods and all that shit for cloud seeding was created in 1946, and it's an erroneous conspiracy theory. Schaefer's method altered a cloud's heat budget. Vonnegut's altered formative crystal structure, an ingenious property related to a good match in lattice constant between the two types of crystal. The crystallography of ice ladder played a role in Vonnegut's brothers Kurt Vonnegut's novel Cat's Cradle. Huh. It's all the same. Kurt Vonnegut's. The first attempt to modify natural clouds in the field through cloud seeding began during a flight that began in upstate New York on November 13th, 1946. Listen to that sentence structure there. The first attempt to modify natural clouds in the field through cloud seeding began during a flight that began in upstate New York on November 13th, 1946. Sounds like a real winner wrote this. Schaefer was able to cause snow to fall near Mount Greylock in western Massachusetts after he dumped 6 pounds of dry ice into the target cloud from a plane after a 60-mile easterly chase from the Schenectady County Airport. So in 46, this random guy drops 6 pounds of dry ice. I wonder where he got dry ice from back then. Who do you think was producing the dry ice back in 46? And then shipping it all over the country so that it could be used by people like this and kept in his special chain. Pigeons. Fucking pigeons. I always forget about the fucking pigeons.
They can take shit anywhere. They can get messages from fish and pass them along.
She's so smart. She's so smucking
No,
fart.
pigeons are smart, sweetheart.
No, pigeons are gods. You're smart. But pigeons make you look like me. You know what I'm saying? Dry ice and silver iodide agents are effective in changing supercooled cloud physical chemistry, and thus useful in augmenting winter snowfall over mountains and under certain conditions in lightning and hail suppression. Do you guys understand what they're saying? Remember, 1959, they put out the video Eyes to Outer Space, where the military-industrial complex, together with Disney, put out a video where they brag about being able to destroy hurricanes and all that shit using aerosols and mini HAARP facilities stationed all over the coast. They had that all going down in 1959, where they were saying we're like days away. By the time, we actually saw the video with animations in it and shit, you have to wonder how old the initial product was. But they made it seem like it was like they were about to figure it out. We can literally see them doing it on a regular basis. The beginning of this video shows a lot of fucking evidence. Not to mention all this, but yet we still think that they don't do it, huh? Okay. While not a new technique, what? Hygroscopic seeding for enhancement of rainfall in warm clouds is enjoying a revival based on positive indications from research in South Africa, Mexico, and elsewhere. The hygroscopic material most commonly used is table salt. Yeah, that makes sense. It is postulated that hygroscopic seeding causes the droplet size spectrum in clouds to become more maritime, bigger droplets, and less continental, stimulating rainfall through coalescence. From 67 to 72, the United States military's Operation Popeye cloud-seeded silver iodide to extend the monsoon season over North Vietnam, specifically the Ho Chi Minh Trail. They're literally talking about how they weaponized the weather in 1967 to 72. Do you honestly think, 50 plus years later, we just don't know how to do it? We haven't gotten better at it? That's fucking nuts. The operation extended the monsoon period an average of 30 to 45 days into a monsoon. Monsoon season is like a hurricane. It's like hurricane all the time. And they extended it by 40 to 30 to 45 days. The 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron carried out the operation to make mud, not war. One private organization that offered during the 70s to conduct weather modification cloud seeding from the ground using silver iodide flares was Irving P. Crick and Associates of Palm Springs, California. That's not blue, can't learn about them. They were contracted by Oklahoma State University in 72 to conduct a seeding project to increase warm cloud rainfall in Lake Carl Blackwell watershed. The lake was, at the time, 1972-73, the primary water supply for Stillwater, Oklahoma, and was dangerously low. The project did not operate for long enough time to show statistically any change from natural variations. An attempt by the U.S. military to modify hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin using cloud seeding in the 1960s was called Project Storm Fury. Scientists tested 4 hurricanes across 8 days and observed decreased wind speeds of 10% to 30% on 4 of these days. In the 60s, they were able to decrease hurricane wind speeds by 10 to 30%.
They can't do that anymore.
We just can't do it anymore. No, we just don't have that technology
Or
anymore.
They just wanted Katrina to destroy.
No. It wasn't steered. No. I mean, like, this is the part where I just don't understand the resistance. Like, sure, I'm the bad guy. I'm always wrong. I'm on meth. I smoke all the meth and eat all the crack and kick my dog and beat my wife and kids and drink all the time and do all these drugs and all that bad shit, right? But I'm literally reading you what you're supposed to know. And it's flat out telling you that in the 60s, they were able to do something that you would assume, like if you look at 60s cars, 60s planes, 60s everything, TVs, you name it, we've made them a lot better, don't you think? What do you think still operates the same way it did in the 60s and we're like, no need to improve on that? Can you give me something? I know there are still like pipes and shit from this, but if we could change them out, we would. But why would we think that they were able to do something pretty effectively? 10 to 30% decreases is pretty good. You know, and these are propeller planes and shit. This is the 60s. Why aren't the rich people demanding that the government stop letting hurricanes destroy all their shit? I mean, literally, where's the conspiracy theory on that? Call the cops on me. You should. I dare you. Works out well. Where are you going?
Help Jordan look for something.
Okay. Scientists as for they originally attributed the lack of results to faulty execution, but the results came into question because of the lack of supercooled water in the hurricane and the inability to determine the effects were due to human intervention or the natural processes of hurricanes. Wait a minute. So, a 10 to 30% decrease in wind speeds is not successful? Is a lack of success? Like what? Lack of results? 2 federal agencies have supported various weather modification research projects, which began in the early 60s. The United States Bureau of Reclamation, meaning it was ours and now we're getting it back, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Bureau of Reclamation, oversees water resource management. Why would they call themselves that? Reclamation sponsored several cloud seeding research projects under the umbrella of Project Skywater. Project Skywater, is that different? Yeah, that's different than Storm Fury. From 1964 to 1988. Wow. That's 28 years of what, it didn't work, so you just kept doing it? For 28 years? Or 24 years, I mean? NOAA conducted the atmospheric modification program from 79 to 93. Have you heard of any of these?
No.
Haven't you heard, again, that if you say any of these things happened, you're just a conspiracy theorist? The sponsored projects were carried out in several states and 2 countries, Thailand and Morocco, studying both winter and summer cloud seeding. From 62 to 88, Reclamation developed cloud seeding, applied research to augment water supplies in the western U.S. The research focused on winter orographic seeding to enhance snowfall in the Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada. The precipitation in coast ranges in Southern California. In California Reclamation partnered with, see what I mean? Like, who wrote this shit? In California Reclamation partnered with, Reclamation is just a weird way to call it. In California, Reclamation partnered with the California Department of Water Resources, CDWR, to sponsor the Sierra Cooperative Pilot Project, SCPP, based in Auburn, to conduct cloud seeding experiments in Central Sierra. The University of Nevada and Desert Research Institute provided cloud physics, physical chemistry, and other field support. The High Plains Cooperative Pilot Project, HIPLEX, focused on convective cloud seeding to increase rainfall during the growing season in Montana, Kansas, and Texas from 74 to 79. And notice how, again, none of these are saying, and they failed miserably. Every single one of these is talking about it successfully. In 79, the World Meteorological Organization and other member states led by the government of Spain conducted the Precipitation Enhancement Project, PEP, in Spain, with inconclusive results due probably to location selection issues. So see, they do address when they do fuck up. Reclamation sponsored research at several universities, including Colorado State University and the universities of Wyoming, Washington, UCLA, Utah, Chicago, NYU, Montana, and Colorado, and research teams at Stanford Meteorology Research and Penn State University and the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, North Dakota, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma. A lot of ands in that sentence. Seems like a lot of schools to be associated with this. Cooperative effects with state water resources agencies in California, Colorado, Montana, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Arizona assured that the applied research met water management needs. HIPLEX also partnered with NASA, Environment Canada, and the National Center for Atmospheric Research, NCAR, from 2002 to 2006, in cooperation with 6 Western states. Reclamation sponsored a small cooperative program called the Weather Damage Modification Program. Again, never heard of these projects. In the U.S., funding for research has declined in the last 2 decades, but the Bureau of Reclamation sponsored a 6-state research program from 2002 to 2006 called Weather Damage Modification Program. What a weird thing. Weather Damage Modification Program. It's a weird thing to call it. A 2003 study by the United States National Academy of Sciences urges a national research program to clear up remaining questions about weather modification's efficiency and practice. In Australia, the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization, CSIRO, conducted major trials between 47 and the early 60s. 1947 to 52, Cicero scientists dropped dry ice into the tops of cumulus clouds. The method worked reliably with clouds that were very cold, producing rain that would not have otherwise fallen. 53 to 56, Cicero carried out similar trials in South Australia, Queensland, and other states. Experiments used both ground-based and airborne silver iodide generators. You know those big machines that they say make clouds, and you're like, whoa, that's new. Guess not. Late 50s and early 60s, cloud seeding in the snowy mountains on the Cape York Peninsula in Queensland, in the New England district of New South Wales, and in the Warragamba catchment area of Sydney. Isn't it weird that Australia, that was, made, I mean, that was populated with Irish prisoners, and I'll be down in a minute, bud. Irish prisoners and Aboriginals decided to name their stuff New England and Cape York and all these other places after the place that imprisoned them there. Huh, strange. Only the trial conducted in the snowy mountains produced statistically significant rainfall increases over the entire experiment. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. So many different fucking examples of it. Israel conducted experimental cloud seeding for 7 years from 2014 to 2021. Gee! The practice involved emitting silver iodide from airplanes and ground stations and took place only in the northern parts of the country. Israel stopped the rain enhancement project in 2021 due to the experiment data showing that the practice was largely ineffective and expensive, and because there had been some recent years of unrelated significant rainfall. How do you know? I mean, again, I could just read and read and read, and it's just we're gonna have to come back to it. I guess I'll come back tomorrow. But yeah. All those big stripes in the clouds, they're good for us, right? Let's see.
Say, oh, hang on. And get rolling in his plate. Just so you remember to do it. I don't want
Looks good.
anything to happen.
Looks good. I guess all the planes that were flying and leaving stripes, people just stopped flying. During that noon break when everybody goes out to lunch and suddenly the sky is full of stripes. Well, that's just coincidental. And now that it's not that time, and let's see, yep, in about an hour it should pick back up. Because can you throw your wrapper away, please?
Yeah, a second.
And can you put your backpack away, and can you put your jacket away? Can you do what you're supposed to do? I know Jordan was here, but can you do what you were supposed to do, please? Oh yeah, look, still got some lines, but I guess they all just decided to stop flying. We didn't need any more planes flying. Nobody's going anywhere else, because if people were flying, then they'd be leaving big streaks, because the big streaks are just normal, natural, right? Anyway, you pedos, you kill yourself. Everyone else have a great day. Go get your free download. Oh yeah, there's going to be the link, www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. It's where you get your free download. It's free. Just put 0 in the payment box. And I'm also going to put a link to our song, CAKU, Chemtrails Are Killing Us, which is a groovy song. I mean, it's not one of our best, but I like it a lot. We have lots of chemtrail songs. That's just one that I have handy. So go check that out. And don't forget to watch Hollywoodism, because that is your smoking gun. Pedophiles, kill yourself!